What if I told you that there are fast food restaurants out there that actually do a better job of preparing their employees for a career than even our colleges do? Stick around and we'll talk about it. There was a poll done recently of managers here in the US of what their number one priority was when training new employees. And not surprisingly for me, the number one priority for these managers was to train their new hires in soft skills. Not the hard skills to actually do the job that they were hired for, but the soft skills that we all take for granted in our day-to-day lives, like communication skills, teamwork, being able to take initiative in your job. Those type of skills are lacking, especially in our younger generation. And I know a lot of the millennials out there in the younger generations feel like we pick on them a lot, but the reality is I think a lot of them would admit themselves that they do lack some skills in these areas, and they need help and they need some training, and to gain momentum in their careers, they need to get better at the soft skills, because we can always train individuals on the hard skills and the nature of what it is that you have to do. To put a widget together, this is how you do it. You piece it together in this way, and then there you have a widget. Those type of skills are very straightforward, but it's working together as a team to build that widget and to make sure that the production is staying on schedule and working together and communicating with each other and being able to lead and be able to get in front of others and present and do things of that nature are what our society in general is lacking big time these days. And it's absolutely carrying over into the workplace. Again, I can speak to this too. As one of those managers, I wasn't directly surveyed by this poll, but I can tell you for certain that when we hire people, the area that we look at that we know is very important are those soft skills, are those communication skills, those abilities, that ability to lead, the ability to want to lead. A lot of people, you ask them, it's like, well, what do you want to do in your career? And they have no idea. And you try to encourage them to move up into the ranks, or to want to be a leader. And a lot of the time, I hear it more and more for some reason these days than I ever heard it in the past. The answer is, I don't want to be a leader. I'm fine just doing this. That's concerning, because I think that the majority of these people just haven't been shown what a leader is and how leadership can actually advance you in your career. Being a leader is something that you absolutely have to have in your toolbox if you want to advance in your career. We can't have too many people just out there wanting to take orders and not lead and just sit back and wait for direction, because our workplaces will go nowhere and we'll be in big trouble. And this was surprising to me, because one area of our world that does a really good job of this, of helping people prepare for soft skills and prepare them for their careers, are fast food restaurants. And if you're like me, you would probably be surprised by that. And McDonald's actually came out with a brand new program that they're launching at the end of this year, where they're going to allow their employees to shadow and to work with people that they consider to be influencers in their life, and to see a day in the life of what they do and what makes those individuals successful. I think that's amazing. If you've watched any of my other videos, or if you take any of my advice, I'm a big believer in getting away from the internet, getting out of your classroom, getting into the real world, and seeing jobs firsthand, seeing careers firsthand, witnessing success and winning right in the flesh. That's how you will become successful as well. And I think it's fantastic that McDonald's is doing this. But isn't it interesting that McDonald's, a fast food restaurant chain, is doing a better job of preparing students in this area than our colleges? And that's the truth, because I'm not aware of any momentum with our colleges in this area. I think there's probably one-off colleges that do a decent job of this, but in general, our colleges do a very poor job of preparing those college students for a career in the real world. It's more focused on the hard skills and preparing them to be whatever it is that their college major is, versus some of these soft skills. But you have an organization like McDonald's, and there's other fast food restaurants, turns out, that are doing the same thing, that their emphasis is more on the soft skills and on the communication skills, for good reason. The core of what they do is customer service. So they need to make sure that we're keeping our customers happy, bringing them back for repeat business, And in order to do that, you got to train heavy on those soft skills, those communication skills, those leadership skills. If you go to any McDonald's or some of these fast food restaurants, you're likely to see a young person, typically a teenager, in a management role. It's not uncommon to see that because they're being groomed to be a leader. And they're doing a better job of that at McDonald's than they're doing in college. And frankly, with a lot of companies out there that flat out do not train in this area. So this is why, and again, I agree with this because I've been on the hiring front lines for almost 20 years, that the number one area that we as managers, as hiring managers, would like to see people come in the door with are strong, soft skills. Problem-solving skills are another one. We want people to come in and be able to think strategically, be able to think critically versus just, taking an answer at its face value. Those type of skills are becoming a lost art. And the reason for this, I think we all know, is the era that we live in is centered around technology. And say what you will, you can complain and say that we pick too much on the younger generation, but you can't argue the fact that it's different today than it was even 10, 15 years ago, certainly different than it was 30, 40, 50 years ago as far as communication goes. How we communicate today is very different than how we communicated in years past. And it's having an impact on how we work and on how we go about our careers. And we will adjust over time, I'm sure, but now we're in this, awkward period where we have people that have grown up and were trained and raised in an environment where communication skills were critical, and you have a younger generation where that isn't the case as much. So what we've had to do in the past in the flesh, meeting with people in person, actually having lunch with them, picking up the phone and actually calling someone, remember those days? But those type of communications are becoming a lost art. Everything is being done through email and text and IMs, and it's not person-to-person communication. And because of that, our social skills and our soft skills are lacking. I think even those of us that were around before the internet and before computers took over, we're very rusty in this area as well. If we don't stay on top of those soft skills on a regular basis, over time we lose it as well. And so it's becoming a problem to the point where, again, when you're a hiring manager and you're looking to hire someone, you have one bucket of skills that you look at, which are the hard skills. Can they actually do the job? Can they walk in the door, sit down, and do the job? Those hard skills are very important. Outside of that, it's the soft skills where we're really struggling to find people that meet those basic soft skills. And so you're looking at their other skills and how they can grow. Do they have a hunger to learn more? Do they have that natural learning ability? Do they have the ability to take initiative? Are they an assertive thinker? These type of soft skills is what can make or break people in their careers. And more hiring managers are realizing that today because more and more people they hire don't have those skills and they're being forced to train them on that. So ultimately, it's important for us to not ignore these folks that are being trained in environments like McDonald's, like fast food restaurants, rental car companies like Enterprise Rental Cars, another one that trains great leaders. That's a good training ground for leaders. There's other companies out there outside of the corporate environment that we can find our future leaders in. And I think, again, it may surprise a lot of you, as it did me, to look at the depth of training that McDonald's and other fast food restaurants go into when it comes to the soft skills. And again, when you stop and think about it, it makes perfect sense because of the nature of what they do. A customer service-oriented type of industry is going to be highly focused on soft skills. So I encourage you, especially for you students out there, to set aside your textbooks for a minute, or for those of you in your careers now too. Just set aside what you do day in, day out, and think about how can I develop in other areas that are more of those soft skills, human-to-human skills, because it's critical that you continue to develop in that area. And if you haven't recently, it's time to brush up those skills and go about it that way, because if you don't, you will get left behind. This is an area that's becoming more and more concerning. So if you can stay sharp in this area, and definitely if you can develop in this area, if you're just starting out in your career, you're going to stand out and you have a much better chance of getting hired, and then continue to develop in that area, and you're going to grow. You have the potential to skyrocket in your career, all because you're willing to develop in the human skill area versus just staying focused on the hard skills, which is what everyone else is doing today. So how do you feel about all this? Do you feel like hard skills are more important than soft skills still? Or do you feel like what I'm saying is correct, that we need to develop more in this area? Are you seeing people that are really struggling in this area? Are you seeing it being more and more common as I am? If so, leave a comment and I'll be happy to respond and we can chat about it. So who knew that companies like McDonald's are actually doing a better job of preparing their employees for careers than even our colleges? I know that's a bold statement, but it appears that it's true when you look at what McDonald's is doing and what the types of initiatives that they're taking to develop their employees seem to be much more advanced in the areas of human-to-human skills and actually preparing their employees for careers. Because what McDonald's realizes, and other fast food restaurants and other industries that are similar to this, that it's a pass-through job, meaning that it's a job that's that a person's going to have just for a little while until they move on to what they're really going to do, until their real job. So they realize that, so they're helping prepare those individuals for a career, and that's awesome. It's a shame that our colleges don't do the same. The majority of our colleges do not do that. They're focused on, again, the major course of study, get them in, get them graduated, bring in the next class, and do it all over again. So it's important for you to pay attention to this, because I promise you, if you do, you will see a difference in your career in general, but definitely when you're coming out of college or when you're coming into an interview and you can display that you actually have these type of human-to-human skills and these soft skills, you're going to be put above the rest of the candidates, because those skills are critical in this day and age.